Hey guys, what's up? Back here with another lesson. And for this one, we'll be doing like a finished pencil piece. And so this is like one of the I did another lesson that's about like values and stuff, but I don't think it was fitting for a first lesson. So I'll do something for a piece that's just in pencil. And I'll probably do a few of these just to it's hard to teach when it's step by step and you're not really demonstrating something. So, in my opinion, I think it'll be better to teach through doing a few pieces because not every piece is the same. Not every piece will have the same kind of, what's the word? Topics covered, I guess. So, for this one, I'll just try to think of something, imagine something that we'll draw. So, maybe I'll draw something like, we'll draw like some kind of warrior or something. Maybe we'll draw a female warrior and she's holding a sword or something like that. Maybe something like Wonder Woman, I don't know. So first, you got to think of like what kind of pose do you want it to be, and maybe what kind of perspective, right? So right now I'm undecided with both of those, and I want to make sure. Here I know I got like the kind of paper I got, right? Here's 9 by 12 I'm working on, and I want to try to keep everything in the center. So let's start. So I'll just start with like some basic shapes. Shapes that will kind of, like the circle, from every perspective, the circle looks the same, right? Alright, so now that I got like kind of a circular shape for the head, and it kind of fits within this frame here I got in the middle of the page, right? And so I want to fit the figure, kind of the action, within here in the center of the page. Now I got the head, got the shoulders in there. Now I'll draw like a circle for the torso. I'm trying to think of like a pose with a sword. Right now we're just roughing in these shapes, seeing what'll happen. No, I got an idea. Instead of one sword, maybe two swords. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Right now we're just roughing in these shapes, and I don't know what kind of a figure I want to draw yet. Like, I'm not really sure. We'll figure it out as we go along, just to see how we deal with issues and problems that arise while you're drawing. So right now you can see also the way I'm holding a pencil, right? I mean, it totally depends on how you're comfortable with that. Right now I'm just doing it like this because it helps me get these smooth lines that don't dig into the paper. So that's something I find very comfortable. So we're just testing out shapes and lines and seeing what we want to work with. Getting interesting ideas and stuff. You know, this would have been a good pose for a bow. I'm not sure if I'll draw a bow. I just want to fix this arm here. I think it looks very weird in terms of shoulder. The way the elbow points up along with the shoulder. When you're drawing the female figure, you have to remember that the number one thing that separates male and female figures is usually the shoulders and the hips, right? With female figures, it tends to be smaller, but for me, when I draw, like, I draw everybody kind of with bigger shoulders, because I feel like it gives more, it feels easier to distinguish the upper body shapes and stuff like that. It's just me, but I always keep like the ratio of the hips to shoulders. Like with the female rib cage, it is tighter near the bottom for men and for males, right? For males, it seems like the rib cage is always like at a 90-degree angle for men, right? So it's 90. For women, it's more of a 60-degree, right? It's a smaller opening in the rib cage. And so what that causes is it makes the hips look larger, right? Sometimes men will have a larger hips than women, but just because of the way the rib cage is, it makes it look larger on the female body, right? Because usually, in most cases, men are taller than women. So, like, you'll see that just in general, males, like, their anatomy is going to be larger than women's just because of the height difference or body weight difference, right? Because most men are usually heavier and taller. So here I'm kind of figuring out this pose where I want her to have two swords. One sword will be maybe in the floor, and this other sword will be kind of this way. So we're kind of like framing in the figure, right, with these two swords here. And I want to like think of a way to have, so this leg is going to have more weight on it than I think well, it depends. Let's see what happens. But right now, the kind of line we have, this gesture line we have over here, right? Kind of have these gesture lines, and it shows that the power is in this. There is weight here, but the weight's also resting here because she's holding on to the sword that'll be digging into the ground. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and we're gonna have to like fine tune it, see what happens to make it look right. So we're gonna kind of have this here, and this bicep is holding on to this here because it's a pulling motion when you're grabbing onto something. When you're grabbing something, it's really a pull. When you're pushing something, it's a push, right? Oh no, well, yeah, when you're lifting something or pushing it, it's a tricep motion, it's a push, right? But here it's a grabbing, so it's a pulling motion, right? Well, you grab stuff, you could pull them sometimes. Scratch what I said. So one sword there. And because of the perspective, so now that we have like enough of a shape here, we're gonna go over perspective. And we're gonna start giving it form now in depth, right? So we got an interesting shape we got here. We kind of have like an upper body already figured out, right? Let's give some shape to it, right? So it's like, you see this curve over here. This is the end of it's the core, right? Pretty much. And so we're gonna have this line going here. So we kind of have like this core already set up. And what's important here is like, we know it's bending forward a little bit, right? And so we kind of know that the perspective here is sort of like the horizon is so the horizon is the eye level, right? And if we're here looking at this figure, the eye level will probably be around here somewhere. And the reason why I say that, because if the hips were straight up, right, if this person was standing up here, right, The hips, we wouldn't see much of the top, right? That shape of the hips, right? But right now they're tilted forward, so we see more of them, right? So it's kind of like that shape. And if something is eye level, you don't see the top of it. You understand? So let's say we draw a cube underneath the horizon line. Let's say that's the horizon line here. We want to draw the cube in perspective. We're going to see the top of it. But if you draw a cube on the horizon line, you're only going to see the sides of it, but you'll never see the top or the bottom. If the cube is up here, we'll see the bottom and the side, right? You can see the sides if it's on the bottom too, right? So this exercise here will help you understand wherever the eye level is, you'll understand how the shapes will be aligned to it. So here we know that the perspective line, the horizon, is somewhere probably over here, right? And so if we were to draw a person in the background, their hips would be even with it, but we'll see, maybe we'll start to see the bottom of the upper body, right? And we won't see like the top of the collarbones and stuff, right? We'll see like the head straight on, but from like a lower point of view, right? You understand? So I don't know what I'm saying. Do you understand? Like I'm going to hear a reply right now. But usually if I'm teaching somebody, I expect them to be in front of me. I'm still not used to this whole video teaching thing, even though it's been like a year now, I think. But yeah, you see here? So that's the thing. It's like the figures always have to correspond with the perspective lines, right? And so now that we know that the horizon line is somewhere over here, it makes things easier now when we're thinking about shapes and how they're going to align in this 3D space, right? So now we're going to start seeing this, like when there's shapes down here. So let's say there's just a cube here for some reason, right? We'll really be seeing the top of it, right? Now we could give things more of like a point of view where we're looking at them from the top, but that's going to make it more complicated in 3-point perspective. And I'm not going to cover that right now because it's a lot of work. But you kind of eyeball that stuff, right? But here we're going to draw this leg. And we're kind of going to have it like she's going up some kind of elevated platform. I want to have it. So legs, they fold, right? In the knee. Nah, that doesn't look right. It looks like the leg's getting twisted. So the leg is like this. Yeah, I'm messing up a lot here. But you know what? I want to draw this leg first before I move on. This is where we start fine-tuning things. And we start to see like how it's how the perspective starts to affect it and stuff. So I'm kind of redoing the hips here. Just tightening things up, and I think that leg was way too high up. So I'm going to fix that. It's always good to know where the belly button is, like that area, because it's kind of like the base of the abdomen. Well, it's not the base. The base is kind of the groin region, but kind of helps you put in that top of the hips into perspective, right? And then you understand where the groin, it ends, right? And then where the hips and the legs move and where they are. Trying to fix the camera here. Alright, that's a little better. Now I think this leg isn't as good as I want it to be. So I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to get that bone correct. So the hip bone kind of goes out like that, goes here, and then the knee is in there, right? Now I have it bending like that. And it's usually symmetrical in terms of they're equal length. So it's going to the side. So it's kind of resting on something. That's what I was kind of going for. You can hear a lot of seagulls outside. I have no idea what's going on. All right. So there we got that leg. Looks accurate. Got this leg. Kind of got the ribs figured out. I want to have like weight loading up on this leg. So the way I do that is there's already weight loading up on this one, but I want it to look because she's active, right? And it's like a dynamic pose. Both legs should be being used, right? So those muscles will be like tensed up. It looks like they're being used. Now over here, I have like some kind of dirt, right? And then stones over here. So here will be like a big stone. I have like dirt on the side here. I'm gonna erase all this extra stuff around. Now I'm still figuring out what to do for the background. And maybe I could change the pose of the arms and see what we could do. Not 100% sure yet. Like we're still figuring out, we're building, making sure there's a solid foundation before we start completing all this, right? So I'm gonna have the traps here. Shoulders are kind of a continuation of the chest and they move on to the arms. And the traps are going to be activated because both arms are kind of lifting and or pulling onto something. And I know in this video I'm not talking about the anatomy as much. I have had a lot of videos in the past where I did talk about anatomy. And also, in this video it's not really the focus because just focusing on how I'm building up these shapes. Now I think this arm is a little longer on the top. So yeah, right now, kind of just focusing on getting the main overall shapes and making sure they all connect together well. Still not sure about the weapon designs, but we'll come up with something. Now here I'll change up the whatever we have in the background. I'm not sure what it is yet. Yeah, there's a lot of noise out today. I don't know, I think somebody was screaming or something. Probably kids playing around. I want to give the sword an angle. I don't want it to be straightforward. Alright, now this seems... looks good enough to start. I want to have it like a sword without a hilt. It's like made for bashing things. Alright. Now time to start polishing a little more. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go lightly over it with the eraser. Try to leave in the basic structure. Kind of already know what I'm working with here. Alright. Still going to fix this arm up a bit. So, kind of going to think about what kind of outfit or costume or what I'm going to go with here. So it has to be something like a person. If they're swinging two swords, they got to be strong, right? So I'm going to make the figure more muscular, right? It already is pretty muscular already. Maybe something that makes it easier to swing around two swords, but I want to give like heavier clothing, I guess, just like maybe some kind of armor or something. So I also want to make it, because it's two swords, right? Usually people that would use two swords are more wild or whatever. So I'll make the hair not like a very kempt style, but it's like on the not messier side. I don't know if that's the right word, but let's see what happens here. So increasing the muscle mass just a bit, especially the shoulders, because swinging stuff around takes a lot of shoulder strength. And the arms have to be strong. So you see, I'm kind of also focusing on where the muscles connect. Like that's really what emphasizes them the most, right? If you leave the areas where the muscles, like the areas where the light shines, so in the centers here, but where muscles connect is where there's usually a lot of shadows. It's like where planes converge of like different shapes. That's where there'll be more shadows and stuff. So like areas like here in that top of the forearm where all the muscles are and stuff. So here for the part where she's holding the sword. You know what I want to do actually? For the left hand, right? Maybe create some kind of a gauntlet that connects with the upper body, maybe, I don't know. All right, one sword down, one to go. I'm gonna focus on the other arm right now, because once we got the arms down, I feel like the whole piece will begin to bring itself together. But sometimes I feel like, because we already have the body done, so we understand like the weight and stuff in it, and it's and like the movement of the figure, and so we don't have to completely redo body parts, right? So I'll focus on this arm now. Focus on the hand. Same as the other hand, like a big gauntlet. And the way I draw hands wrap around stuff is that when you think of a handle, right? Handles go behind these knuckles, right? Underneath this part of the hand. And then those middle segments, they wrap around, right? And the pinky wraps around a little bit. Like the pinkies don't wrap around completely as much as the other fingers. The other fingers are longer. And we'll have the thumb peek around from the back, right? Now we'll have like the bludgeon on the bottom of the sword. Maybe put spikes on it. All right. We'll leave designing the sword till later. Right now, we'll focus on the body. Looks decent. So the neck here, we have the traps. I mean, these traps look massive, honestly. I'm gonna tone them down a bit. Like compared to the rest of the body, the traps looked outrageous. So here we got the neck muscles, right? You usually got those two main ones that go from the sides of the neck, right, to the sides of the jaw, upper like behind, not the jaw, but the base of the skull from the back, and then it connects to the collarbones here, right? Now we'll have the head here turned to the side. Now, time to add like the facial features and stuff. Actually, I want to finish the costume first, so I want to add like some kind of like there has to be certain type of armor. So also a cape would be cool. So I'm trying to imagine how that would work. I want to give her armor she could move in, something that's not too tight and something that is not too loose, right? So something that's comfortable, but you can move around it, right? I'm trying to think of one plate here for the chest. And something that would be like, would fit the body shape, so it could kind of fit the cartoonish theme of like how I usually draw, right? Kind of does feel like I'm just drawing Wonder Woman here, honestly, but yeah. Maybe you could draw like an engraving on the button that would be here. I want to increase the size of the shoulder, so it makes it look like she really is lifting that knife here. Some scars on the armor. Maybe some kind of a guard for the neck too would be cool. And like some kind of a leather armor for the stomach area. And we'll have like some kind of a belt here. And then some kind of a armor that goes around the legs. another knife on the side. I'm going to make this arm a little less muscular because it's way more muscular than the other one the more I look at it. Some kind of like heavy leather armor, that's what this is. I want to add the cape, but it has to be done in a way that doesn't take away from the main figure. So I gotta round this out a bit because the upper body is tilting more. It looks like it's being compressed. Alright. So over here, these pieces of the armor are compressing more, so I should add more shadows to it. It could add more armor on this arm. The reason I'm not adding shoulder armor because I want to make sure the character looks mobile, and I feel like the more blockier pieces you put on the shoulder, the less mobile a person looks. Now remember, since the perspective, the horizon is somewhere around here, we should be able to see the top of stuff that's down here, right? Now things like the top of the boot, right? Now I'll put this in shadow just to make it look like it's disappearing a little. You can't really see it in the camera, can you? But yeah. I'm going to emphasize the quad muscle here so the knee is seen more clearly. Alright, that seems pretty good so far. I want to add like a skull on the sword that goes down the sword. Alright, I want to move on to the face. Let me zoom in. Alright. So her face, I want her to look tough. So let's see. The jaw is here somewhere. Nose will be here somewhere. I made the facial features way too small. And since she is leaning forward, not going to fully match the perspective line because the body is crunched forward a bit. And so it's going to kind of be, we're going to kind of be seeing the facial features. Like if it had its own horizon line, it'll be like here somewhere. Because sometimes objects, when they move throughout space or in a different angle, their horizon lines change. You have to think about that a bit more. I'm going to add some kind of a head plate. And it'll be hidden in the hair. Now the hair splits through here. Some of the hair goes into this thing. Let's give her a scar on this side. increase the shadows within here. Now I know I said I wanted to give her a cape before, so I'm gonna do this kind of medallion here or whatever, and attach the cape to it. And here the medallion will be tilted to the front a bit. Maybe want to add some fur to it. Oh, time to zoom out. Now, I'm mainly adding in this cape just to emphasize the shape more of the body, because it'll make it stand out more. Especially when I outline these parts more. Alright, here we got this so far. Now over here, I'm going to add these stones. To add some shadows to it. Add some shadows back here. Now here, we got like a basic figure. It's kind of a finished piece, but it's not, you know what I mean? And this took about 50 minutes. You could pretty much start inking this in, and it wouldn't be too difficult. Alright. Thanks for watching. Leave any comments in the comments below, and hope you guys learned something from this. Next video is going to be similar to this, and thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Laters.